Sprains and strains are currently the most prevalent injury type that we face within the occupational setting. In order to better understand sprains and strains, we need to take a closer look at posture. In order to do that, there are a number of assessments that we can do. The first assessment that we're going to do is strictly just a standing fore-aft assessment. Now, fore-aft is F-O-R-E-A-F-T, which simply just means the amount of motion that an individual is experiencing while in a static position. This motion will generally occur to a front position and then rocking to the rear. So in order for us to first assess that, I'm going to have everybody stand with their feet just slightly narrow of shoulder width. Ideally, you would like the toes pointing in a forward direction, so really try to avoid any type of angling of the foot outward. Now you're going to take your hands and rest them right to the sides. We call this the Ragdoll position, hands just dangling to the sides. Now for the first part of this assessment, I would like everybody just to close their eyes. Great, now open your eyes. Now while your eyes were closed, you should have experienced a very steady position where your weight was completely balanced with on your feet. Now if anyone experienced any type of forward motion that ended up having to a rock motion back onto their heels, had a positive experience with a fore-aft. That does tell us that we do have some sort of postural abnormality that can increase our likelihood of developing a sprain or strain. In order to correct that, there are a number of exercises that we can do. But first, we're going to walk through 3 exercises that will improve that within 30 seconds to a minute. So without changing the stance of your feet, I would like everybody to just go ahead and bring your arms up to your sides. Now, the key to make this exercise successful is to pinch your shoulder blades together as tight as you can. Now, everybody will give me what's called a golfer's grip. A golfer grip is taking the index fingers or the first stitches of the fingers and tucking them in tight, extending their thumb outward. So back into the position where the arms are horizontally flexed, you're going to tighten your shoulder blades, extend your thumb out forward. Now you're going to give me 10 small semicircles in the direction of your thumb. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Before we move on, reference your position of your hands relative to your shoulders. Now, some of you might notice that you're already starting to feel fatigue within your shoulders and your arms might be beginning to drift downward. If they are, reference that position, bring them up. The ideal position here is to have your arms bisecting through your shoulders. So make a visual reference of your middle finger as it runs right through, cross your ears out to your other side. You also want to maintain that position to the forward or to the back. You want to keep it level. So the second part of this exercise is we're going to extend the palms upward. Now this might be a little bit more difficult for some of you, especially those of you with tight shoulders. Once again, 10 small semicircles in the direction of your thumb. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Keep the pressure built in your back. Do not allow your shoulders to become weak. Do not allow your arms to drift downward, forward, or in the reverse. Now go ahead and place your knuckles to your temple. Now this part of the exercise might be difficult for some, but to make this work and to get the most out of the exercise, you will touch your elbows in front of your eyes and extend them all the way back for a count of 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now you should start feeling your shoulders become tight. Make sure you are continuing to press your shoulder blades together. You want to keep the pressure building in your back. For the last part of this exercise, we're going to interlock the fingers above the head and we're going to place your palms upward. Do try to extend your arms all the way up and continue to reach for the sky. Remember to breathe throughout this exercise. If you find that you're holding your breath, take a deep breath. Good. Now go ahead and relax and allow your arms to come back down towards your sides. Now we're going to revisit our first part of this exercise. So keep your arms down by your sides, reform that ragdoll position, and now close your eyes. Excellent. Everybody open their eyes. Now, what you should have experienced through those 3 exercises, for those of you who had significant amount of fore aft, that should have been able to diminish. Those of you who didn't experience it should have felt more stable on your feet. Now, what we accomplished with that exercise was basically just realign the body. Posture is one of the key aspects that we look at when it comes to sprains and strains, especially when we're doing long-standing repetitive tasks. What we find with most individuals, especially when they've been on the job for a certain period of time, which causes them to do what's called head protraction or thoracic rounding. And now thoracic rounding is just the spine beginning to rotate forward. We begin to develop that curve in the back. We can really have 2 types of protraction. One type can be what's called a cervical protraction, where the shoulders stay relatively square over the hips, but the head begins to move forward. This is classical cervical protraction. What we see commonly after that is we go into what's called thoracic protraction, where the head has remained forward for a prolonged period of time, and now my shoulders begin to rotate in, and I begin to round at the upper back. This particular posture here is what lends itself to neck and lower back strains.